Welcome to Council Action. My name is Elizabeth Kautz. I'm the mayor of the city of Burnsville. Council Action is a summary of the council's meeting on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2014. The meeting was called to order at 6:30 p.m. at 100 Civic Center Parkway in the council chambers. We begin our meetings with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we move on to our announcements. Our announcements have to do with all of our upcoming meetings. Council meetings are scheduled for Tuesday, September 16th at 6:30 p.m. and Tuesday, October 7th at 6:30 p.m. We have work sessions scheduled for Tuesday, September 9th at 6:30 p.m. and Tuesday, October 14th at 6:30 p.m. We're in the midst of budgets, and at our budget work sessions, everyone is invited to come and speak if you wish to, and I'm happy to acknowledge and recognize you. Our budget meetings are scheduled for, the first one is the department budgets, and that's Tuesday, October 28th at 6:30 p.m. Then we have a budget work session on Monday, November 10th at 6:30 p.m., and another budget work session on Tuesday, November 25th at 6:30 p.m. We then adopt the budget and the final tax levy on Tuesday, December 2nd at 6:30 p.m. We move on to citizens' comments, and no one appeared before the City Council to speak to any issues, and there were no emergency items to be added to the agenda. We move on to the consent agenda, and the first item on the consent agenda is the approval of minutes, and we approved all of the minutes of our past meetings. We also approved claims listing, and we approved a resolution that authorizes Federal Lands Access Program Agreement with MnDOT and the Eastern Federal Lands Highway Division for the Black Dog Trail Project. We approved the ice rental agreement with the Burnsville, Minnesota Valley Figure Skating Club for ice time. We also approved the ice rental agreement with the Burnsville Hockey Club for ice time. And we approved the ice rental agreement with the Dakota Curling Club for their ice time. And we approved the contract to purchase LED lights and install winter lighting in the heart of the city. And this is a partnership between the Burnsville Community Foundation, who raises all the money to light up our city during the winter, and the city of Burnsville. And so we're very grateful to the Burnsville Community Foundation for continuously raising the money to light up the heart of the city during the winter months. We also approved the ordinance amending Title VII, Chapter 7, for mixed municipal solid waste and recyclables, and Title VII, Chapter 1, health nuisance, and policy number 2.070, complaint response procedures regarding nuisance abatement of refuse containers. We also approved the change in liquor license operating managers for multiple locations in the city. And if you're interested, please go to www.burnsville.org and go to the meeting agenda and background for September 2nd, and you can see the managers that have been approved for the different multiple businesses in town. We also approved the Burnsville Lions Club offsite gambling at the fire muster. And we approved the annual software maintenance and support renewal for electronic documents management system. And we approved and authorized the replacement of 2 vehicle lift units at the maintenance facility. We approved a resolution that restates the joint powers agreement of the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority and ratifying the agreement to consolidate with Prior Lake and Shakopee. And we approved the application for Steve Benson for a conditional use permit request for an 8-foot tall privacy fence located at 14237 Park Avenue South. We adopted the findings of fact and approved the conditional use permit. And that was the end of the consent agenda. We then move on to the regular agenda. And the first item on the regular agenda was a public hearing. and this was to approve a resolution adopting the 2014 Street Reconstruction Improvement Assessments for Project 14-101. The project was presented, and there were no questions for our staff, Mr. Ryan Peterson, and I opened the public hearing. No one spoke to this item, and we closed the public hearing, and the item was approved. The next item was also a public hearing, and this is a resolution adopting the 2014 Street Rehabilitation Improvement Assessment 14-102. And that item was presented. There were no questions for staff. I opened the public hearing. No one spoke to this item. The public hearing was closed, and the item was approved. The next item was also a public hearing, and this is a resolution to adopt the 2014 Streetscape Operations and Maintenance Assessment. That item was presented, and there were no questions of staff. I opened the public hearing. No one spoke to the item, closed the public hearing, and the item was approved. We move on to item number 8, and that too was a public hearing, and this is a resolution to adopt the 2014 miscellaneous assessments. That item was presented, and there were no questions of staff. I opened the public hearing. No one spoke to this item, and the item was approved. We then move on to item number 9, and this is the resolution to adopt the proposed budget and certifying the 2014 proposed tax levy to Dakota County Treasurer Auditor, and this is the max tax. And that item was presented, and we had one citizen who spoke to this item, and please tune into the City Council meeting and hear what he had to say. That item was presented, and the item was approved. I then recessed the Burnsville City Council meeting so the Economic Development Authority meeting can convene. The Economic Development Authority meeting was called to order, and there was one item on the consent agenda, and that was the approval of minutes from the May 20th, 2014 meeting, and that item was approved. One item on the regular agenda, and that was the resolution to authorize the proposed levy of a special benefit levy pursuant to the Minnesota statute, section 469.033, subdivision 6, and the approval of a proposed budget for fiscal year 2015. That item was presented. There were no questions of staff. We have been working on all of these items that have to do with the budget since May and June, and this item was approved just as the max tax was approved. We continue to work on all of these items that have to do with the budget. The EDA meeting was then adjourned, and then I reconvened the Burnsville City Council meeting, and there was one item, item 11 left, and that was a resolution to approve the 2015 proposed tax levy for the Burnsville Economic Development Authority. And this is where the Burnsville City Council ratifies the action of the Burnsville Economic Development Authority, and that item was presented and approved. There were no other items to come before the body, and the meeting was then adjourned. Council action replays at 6 a.m. and noon, 6 p.m. and midnight. And City Council meetings replay at various times on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And I encourage you to watch the following to see how you can view past meetings and current meetings via the internet. And you can go to www.burnsville.org. I'm Elizabeth Kautz, Mayor of the City of Burnsville. Thank you for joining me. Continue to make a difference.